Is it time to reveal your real magic and become seen, known, and valued? Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Visionary Voices deep dive. And we're going into the topic of dealing with disagreement when sharing your truth today. So I hope you're having a great week, and thanks for joining us here today live or watching the replay. So just let me know in the comments which it is, if you're live or in the replay, but welcome. So today we're talking about how to deal with disagreement when sharing your truth. And just as a reminder, as we're waiting for people to get going and join us here, I love how our community is growing at the moment and has reignited this year and expanding. So if you have friends who you feel this would be valuable for them, please feel free to invite them to join. But a really good way to do that is to share the link to the group, which is facebook.com/groups/visionary visibility for visionary leaders, because it's and that's the best way. That way I can ensure that it's a good fit for them, and always check with somebody first before inviting them, because nobody wants to just be end up in a group and going to go, how did I get here? So, but really, we're really open for new members, and that's very welcome. So, I'm not seeing any comments. If you're here with me live, do go ahead and comment. I can't always see who's attending, so I'll see what pops up. So if you're new to me, welcome. My name is Rena Aiken, and I am a deep dive visibility mindset mentor and transformational coach for soulful business owners, mostly women, but a few soulful guys are popping up into our community. And I unlock the voices of visionary leaders so you can share your unique wisdom and create the impact that you long to create. And we last week we were talking about resilience, because to be showing up as a visionary leader, which is so needed in the world right now, we need to be resilient. And one of the things that come up that and I heard from so many of you, because it's crazy times we're living in, is how do I deal with the conflict of sharing my truth, being misunderstood, being criticized, being attacked, being bombarded, being censored. There's a lot going on around this topic. So thank you for all of you who shared your experiences with me, because I think just about everybody has got a friend or a relative or a community member who is on what they think of as the other side. And I'm not aligned with one side or the other here, but somebody who's political views or views on the pandemic makes them feel angry or sad or afraid or triggered. And with all of these tensions running high, it can take a toll on our relationships, and it can also make us hold ourselves back with expressing what we would like to express. And so what I want to be doing today is saying, how can we navigate that tension and still show up, create connection, because visibility is all about connection, and we can't influence others that we don't have a connection with. It will just be conflict and painful. So that's my intention for you today, for you to be able to navigate these conversations with more grace and ease, to be able to feel that you're having a better influence on others when need to, and also respecting people where they're at without being overwhelmed by that. So this has been an issue for me. I want to share with you some of the strategies that worked for me, so you can deepen into connection and really be this positive influence. So tell me in the comments, what have you been experiencing about this? What have you found the most frustrating or upsetting about this? I'd love to hear from you. So let's dive in. This is likely to be a longer session today. There's a lot I want to cover, so I'd say we'll be going for probably at least 30 minutes. And let me see if I can see any comments. No, I can't. So apologies if you've put any comments in. I'm not actually able to see any comments. So the first thing in dealing with disagreement is, first thing is always to look after yourself first. So self-care and self-soothing. So whatever you need to do, if you're feeling, bombarded or attacked or criticized, or you're in reaction, first thing to do is to deal with that first. So, because that can leave you quite shaken up, and we always need to put our own oxygen mask on first. I say visibility is all about connection, but it starts with connection with ourselves. So, you have to deal with your own reactions and come to a place of balance, and then you can decide how to deal with the relationship. Decide whether it's a relationship that you want to repair, or that you have to live with. It's a relative, or if it is somebody who you need to set clear boundaries with and keep out of your space, because that's also valid as well. So I know at least 3 conscious women who are, people I know personally, who had COVID in the last year. And when they wrote about their experience online, from a very balanced, authentic place, I know all of these amazing conscious women, they actually found themselves getting attacked by people who didn't believe that COVID was real, and was just putting them down for writing their experiences, which is a form of gaslighting. It's like, your experience is not real and I know better than you. So that's pretty distressing. And on the other side, there's been lots of people who are sharing alternative health tips and alternative views that even doctors are sharing, advocating for greater freedom, and they're also getting attacked, judged, shut down, and there's wisdom on both sides. So one of the processes that I want to share with you today, because I want to give you an experience of this, let's go deep into it, is a process that's changed my life when I first came across it 24 years ago. And it's something that I use regularly for myself in my own life and with my clients a lot. It's a really, really powerful process. It's an energy process. And how it works, I'll just do a simple version today, but it's still a very powerful process. How it works, it's based on the principle of partnering with spiritual intelligence and asking for energies to be released. It's an energy release process. And it works best when you speak it aloud, although silent intentions are also powerful. And just to, say, I use, in terms of partnering with spiritual intelligence, I use the term divine intelligence, but you can also use the term source, universe, God, great mystery, great spirit, whatever works for you. So I'm going to go through this process fairly quickly, so you might want to listen back to this again. So just bring to mind, in doing this process, somebody who you've had tension or disagreement with, who you've been triggered by, or who you maybe still be struggling with. And I'm going to ask you, if you can, speak this aloud, and if not, repeat it silently. Repeat these words silently to yourself. So let's dive in. Divine intelligence, partner with me now. Work with me on every level of my being: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Completely release and remove the energies of, and say their name, from every aspect of my being, particularly their fear, their anger, their insecurity, and add in any other words that feel relevant to you here, that you really feel inside. their judgment, their criticism, their blame, their control, their aggression. Just add in whatever words feel right to you. And all of their projections. And now work with and say their name in the most appropriate way for them, and completely release and remove my energies from every aspect of their being. Particularly my fear, my anger, my insecurity, my judgment, my blame, my criticism, my expectations. Just add in whatever words feel right for you. And all of my projections. And transmute all of these energies in both of us into divine love and return them to their source now. And then the next step is to speak, in your mind to that person and just say, dear, say their name. Thank you for being in my life. I give you permission to make any mistakes that you need to make as you follow your life's path. And I bless you in the flow of your well-being. And I claim my energy for myself to follow my life's path and to make any mistakes that I need to make. And to make my own choices, even though they might be very different from yours. And anything else that you feel you want to say to honor their sovereignty and claim your own. And then just finish with thank you, and so it is. So post in the chat, what did you experience during this? This is a really deep process, so give yourself time to really let it settle. I'll see if I can find the comments. Okay, so post in the chat, what did you experience? And if you want the text for this, just DM me, just private message me. I only want to share this with people who have watched the video, full video, and reach out to me at any time. Anything comes up, you practice this, anything comes up that you don't expect, just reach out to me. So once this settled, you will then have a clearer sense, because what this does is it kind of releases the tangled energies that are often involved in conflict, which is why we get so, contracted in conflict. And this is a great way to release those energies out. And once they're released, you've got a much clearer sense of where that relationship is and where you want it to be, and just let it evolve to its next level. That might be creating greater distance between you. That also might be creating greater connection between you. But you'll have a great sense once you entangle all those energies. You'll have a sense of where that wants to go and what boundaries you want to set, how to communicate more clearly, and you can go through these next 2 steps. So that's step 1, which is looking after yourself, releasing energies, getting clear from that energy of conflict and disagreement. It's a really powerful process for doing that. Okay, and so then step 2 is to see how you can hold space for both sides once you're clear and in your own energy, because what we want to do is hold a space that's big enough for everyone and recreate safety and connection in our world, because that's how we see each other, that's how we influence each other. And when we're all separate and isolated, we're not evolving and growing in the way that we can. And the context for this is, we live in a disempowered world. This was true before the current crisis. And what's going on in the world right now is really highlighting our disempowerment in so many ways. The situation is so big, it's so easy to give our power to authorities, whether they're conventional or alternative authorities, or to react against those authoritative voices. Again, react against conventional ones or react against the alternative ones. We either give our power away or react against. But either way, we're kind of not, in our own sovereignty, in our own power. So how do we show up as empowered? How do we choose to be empowered in a disempowered world? One of the things that I see among conscious people and in the conscious community and light workers and whatever term you like to use is that we forget often to recognize the great privilege that we have, many of us, and I know most of the people in this community, of having done years of personal development work. It's like we are a world-class violin player and we're speaking to people who have, just picked up the violin and we're saying, why can't you do what I do? We kind of expect people to be where we are, and we fail to recognize the power that we have and the development that we have. So sometimes it's remembering all the development that you have, and remembering I can choose to be the bigger person here. I have a lot of development under my belt. So I see these conflicts as challenging us to step into our own mastery, into our own leadership, to be the empowered one in the disempowered world, and seeing it as training for stepping into the visionary leader that I know you really are, and the world needs you. So, and this is why step one is so important. You need to connect with your powerful resourced self. So you need to put your own oxygen mask on first, do step one first. But now let's have an experience of this. So I want to guide you through a little process to connect with your power, and then from there to connect with these other people in your life. So just take a moment to breathe your energy deeper into your body, breathing down into your belly, into your hips, and noticing your roots growing right down into the earth, as deep and as wide as you need them to. And just imagine yourself in a safe, sacred inner place. Whatever that is for you, it might be a beautiful place in nature. It might be a temple in the clouds. It might be a room in a house. It might be somewhere deeply rooted into the earth. But just wherever you find is a safe and sacred inner place for you. And in this safe, sacred place, just imagine that you're surrounded by a circle of beings of love and light. They might be spiritual beings or historical angels, people you admire. Just feel yourself connected and surrounded by love. And now come back to this person or people who you've experienced disagreement with and conflict with. And into this very safe, sacred place, invite their higher self to connect with your higher self. And just imagine them, their higher self, coming in to the circle of love and light with you. And just notice, let's take a moment to notice what has been going on for them. What have they been feeling and experiencing? And just give them permission to be where they are, to make mistakes, to learn as they grow, and just notice, what is it deep down that they are feeling? And what is it deep down that they really need, even if they don't know it? Just recognize your own feelings and needs. What is it that I really need in this situation? Acknowledge their fear, their need for safety. Acknowledge your fear and your need for safety. And just really sense that just like me, this person is looking for love, for security, for certainty. And just really open your heart. I'm going to share a poem here called Compassion by Miller Williams. Have compassion for everyone you meet, even if they don't want it. What seems conceit, bad manners, or cynicism is always a sign of things no ears have heard, no eyes have seen. You do not know what wars are going on down there where spirit meets the bone. You do not know what wars are going on down there where spirit meets the bone. So just holding their higher self and yours, and see what you see from this perspective. What new information, what wisdom comes through do you see when you connect the best in you with the best in them? Do you see things differently? Do you see their perspective? Do you sense that their higher self can see yours? Just see what wisdom comes through. When it feels complete, just let them go and return to your daily self. Come back into the room. So that was a deep process. You might want to listen back again. But post in the chat, what new insights do you have from doing this? See if I can see any comments. No, Facebook's not letting me see any comments. So I will read and respond to all of your comments later, but do post in the chat, what new insights do you have from doing this process? There's a friend of mine recently who was in a supermarket and is not able to wear a mask and wasn't wearing a mask, and so was approached and confronted and criticized by somebody who, for not wearing a mask, even though she explained that she couldn't. And it really triggered a lot of fear in both of them. So, what she did is, when she went back to her car, she could feel how shaken up she had been from this encounter. And she went through this, I don't know if you know it, the Ho'oponopono process, which is saying over and over, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, until she was able to return to a place of compassion with that person. And this takes work. We can get triggered, we will get triggered. It's an ongoing process. So, and the perspective that I really want to invite us into with this today is, What if the wisdom we need to move forward in the world is contained in the best of both sides? So I'll say that again. What if the wisdom that we really need to move forward in the world is contained in the best of both sides? And this is true in all levels. This is true in a conflict, in a personal relationship. This is true in, debating politics or religion, in looking at, what is the best way forward for dealing with the crisis. What if the wisdom we need to move forward is contained in the wisdom, in the best of the both sides, rather than black and white, either or polarity? There is real, and also, in your own competing values. We all have values for freedom, and we all have values of caring for others. There are conflicting values here, but in the best of both sides, there's wisdom. So the third step here is, from this perspective where you're resourced yourself, you're back in your power, you're connected with the greater field of compassion, you're connected to yourself, you're connected to source and the best of yourself and others. And then the next thing is, the third step is to uplevel your communications so that it's how you're communicating. And this step depends on your capacity. You have to have the bandwidth for it. And it's also a valid choice at times when you don't have the bandwidth to not, step forward to communicate. It's actually better not to when you're in a solid place. If you're just kind of going, oh, let me just post that link, or let me just share that piece of information that I've just read from whatever perspective, but you haven't fully digested it and it triggers something, then, just be aware of your own capacity when communicating with others, because this is deep. And visibility and influencing others is all about connection. We can't influence somebody if we don't connect with them first. So I want you to reflect and share with me, how are you communicating? How are you showing up? And how would you want to be communicating? Who is it that you want to influence to do what? Do you want to influence people who have different views to you, or share information with those that already hold your views? Do you just want to connect with the people in your life? So post in your chat, what do you notice about how you are communicating, and who would you like to influence to do what? So I want to share some principles for challenging conversations. I'm going to start with principles for, personal, one-to-one conversations, and then extrapolate from there as to how you can use this if you're sharing your message online. So conflict is often a breakdown in safety and in trust. So the first step for challenging conversations and upleveling communities is to create safety so that you can actually engage the tensions in a more healthy way. And we create safety through affirming the relationship. So saying, what I appreciate about you, I value our friendship, I value our connection, I value that you're in my community. Express your appreciation and express your shared vision, your values, something that's real. And then it's like, once there's a container of safety, it's creating a context for this conversation. So it's like, hey, I would love to talk to you about, and whatever it is. I want to create a space where we can explore this and do it in a way that's not blaming. So it might be like, okay, I noticed that this has been going on, and I want to create a sense of what's happening so that we can, connect more deeply, come to a shared understanding, and really, again, focus on your shared vision for the connection. And it really helps here to, and again, this is showing up as the empowered leader that you are, is to make yourself vulnerable and to be responsible. Even if they behaved in a less than ideal way, when you are showing up as empowered in a disempowered world, You want to step into the leader you are and do that first in a way that's really genuine. So I'm sorry that I reacted. I'm sorry that I didn't realize the tension you're under right now. I know you're dealing with a lot. Or it might be, I struggle with this too. I find it hard to share what I'm discovering in ways that don't add to the tensions. So really what this does is creates an opening for the other person to also step into their responsibility and for owning what's going on. And that can really de-escalate the tension. They might not. It's up to you to be willing to step into your leadership with it as well. But it creates a space where it creates more safety, they feel less defensive, less threatened, and they're able to step forward into a growth place rather than retreating into a hardening of attitudes place as well. And then it's engaging from this place of connection, engaging the tension. So, appreciate them, what they bring. My intention is to explore if we can find a way to move forward where everyone can get their needs met. And this isn't so much about finding a resolution as really understanding what's going on. So asking them, what are your needs here? What are your assumptions? If you could have it your way, what would that look like? And just tell me about what's happening from your point of view. So a lot of creating connection isn't so much about getting it your way, is understanding theirs. And then listen. So what I'm hearing is, name their concerns, listen to them. Again, when you slow down and listen and let them know that you're listening, that creates so much safety and connection. And then share your view. Ask for an opportunity to share your point of view. So where I'm coming from is, when you've really been vulnerable. And only once each of you understands and has empathy for the other point of view can you then collaborate on the solutions. So the solutions to conflicts, they kind of organically emerge when you have this field of connection between you. So share in the comments if you use any of these techniques already, if this is valuable for what you're facing with the disagreements and the conflicts that you're up against, or any principles that you would like to take away from this. And what I'm going to share just briefly now before I finish is how you can use these same principles when you're sharing your messages online. So that's also about, what you can also do here is, when you're sharing online, you can acknowledge the context. You can say, I'm noticing there's a lot of conflict and tension around this topic of health, freedom, or whatever it is right now. And it might be saying, connect to your community. Who is it that's going to hear this message? You might say, I know that many of us, or that many of you, are afraid right now. You may have lost or could lose loved ones, or jobs, or income, or freedom. You may know, healthcare or frontline workers. You might be, worried about the loss of freedom. You might be worried about the future of our world and, losing power and the powerful forces in the world becoming even more powerful and disempowering the rest of us. You might be worried about that. So acknowledge the context and create safety by acknowledging their views. I might be saying, I know that we're all in different places with this. As we navigate these times, there can be a lot of fear and insecurity. There are lots of different views on this topic, many different places to stand. And I know these conversations can get heated. So you're acknowledging what's going on and creating safety. And then it really helps to make yourself vulnerable and say, I'm finding my way through this too. It's hard to know what to believe, who to trust. I don't always communicate in ways that live up to my standards. So you're making yourself vulnerable, but you're also, being responsible and sharing your vision. My intention, so what's your intention for the communication, is to share information or perspectives that might be helpful for others. My intention is here. And again, inviting them into your vision of what if the wisdom that we need to move forward is contained in the best of both sides? What if, even though this is different to what you might be hearing, what if there's some wisdom in here? It doesn't have to conflict with the other views. So you might be inviting people in. I'd like to share, I invite you to listen, to read with an open heart, or you can also preface what you communicate with. If this is not for you, stop reading right now and move on with your day. You might have a big trigger alert in capital letters that's saying, what I'm about to say might be controversial for you. This isn't for you. Go elsewhere. So you're also setting your boundaries about who it's for and the purpose of your communication. So take the time to do this when you're sharing online. And if you don't have the time or the energy to really connect with those you're speaking with, just consider if it's the right time to share or if you're sharing into the right context. You might be better off just sharing with individuals or groups you know already share your views. So just being realistic. So what are you taking away from this? Share in your ahas or any questions you have about this in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about this. I'm not able to see the comments at the moment, but I will read them all and respond afterwards. So I'd love to hear from you. So just to recap, so the first step in dealing with the disagreement when sharing your truth is to look after yourself first, to really deal with your own reactions, release the projections, set clear boundaries, and that energy release is very powerful. Step 2 is to hold space for both sides. Remember the privilege you have as a person who's been on a growth path, as I would call a visionary leader, and set your intention to connect with the highest and the best in everyone, including yourself, to deepen understanding, to broaden perspectives, and to really, have compassion for you and for them, and see what new wisdom, deeper understanding emerges from this higher place to stand. And then the step 3 is to uplevel your communication. So really step into empowered leadership, to hold space for these connected conversations, to acknowledge what's going on in the field, to name potential conflicts that might emerge, to say to people, this might trigger you, this is a bit controversial, or let's take a breath before we engage with this. And you are a much more powerful influencer when you take the time to connect with your people and where they are. Okay, so if you have any questions around this, or if you need some specific insight or support on your situation, or a little bit more guidance to get clear on this, hop onto a breakthrough call with me or message me. So drop in a comment below or message me, and we can hop on a call and get clear about what you need. This stuff goes super deep, but clearing this really can get you sharing your deepest value and really being a valuable source of transformation for others. So that's it for today. That was a longer session than normal, but it was a big topic. So let me know how that lands with you, and have a great week. I will speak to you again soon.